know that many of you are already putting your kiddos to bed, or you are getting ready for bed yourself, so you can come back and watch this. If you are feeling anxious before bedtime, maybe you're feeling anxious just with all that, maybe that we have experienced here in our community in Coleman, Alabama. We went through some things this past Saturday. Congratulations to our basketball team winning the 6A basketball state championship. And then after that, it got a little crazy for many of you that were there. I was not able to be there. I was at a book signing, but my family was there. My kids were there. My husband was there. And to be at home on the other end of such a scary event, that was hard as well. So I just wanted to hop on. I felt led to just say, hey, let's just do some real conversations, talk, be real and honest. Maybe if you are a parent and you're going back and watching this, it's going to be very short. First of all, because my phone battery is not very, I forgot to put my charger up here. And second, just to keep it short, and maybe you need to go back and watch it after you put your kids to bed, to just encourage you as we face these hard situations, as our kids face these hard situations. How do we get through these anxious times? How do we help our kids get through these anxious times? So just so that you know that, hey, miss you too. So good to hear you and see you here on Instagram. Very quickly, if you are new to me and my page, I do have books out that you may be interested in. This is Anxiety Elephants for Tween Girls, and have Anxiety Elephants for Tween Boys. You can find those on Amazon, christianbook.com, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, local stores as well. I'll share that later on. If you see that your child is feeling anxious, this may be a good book to go ahead and grab and start reading that with them. And I'm really excited. My publisher at Endgame Press even decided to do a Kindle version. So maybe you're like, we want a real copy in our hands, but we need something right now. Go purchase that Kindle version and you can read it tonight before you go to bed. 90 days, super short devotionals, just talking about anxiety. And maybe before this weekend, your child never dealt with anxiousness, anxious thoughts, anxious feelings. Maybe you did not either. And then all that has changed. And as I said very quickly, our community, after the basketball game, after our players won and was celebrating, chaos basically broke out where the games were being held. We're not really sure what happened, what took place. Lots of people are giving their eyewitness account of what happened. We're hearing other things from other sources, so we don't really know. But it was very chaotic. Many got trampled. Lots of kids were separated from their parents, from who they were with. My oldest daughter was separated from my husband. My youngest, thank goodness, she was able to stand with someone God put in our path. His name is Walker. He's on our worship team with us, and he was able to stay there, make sure she was good and safe. And then my husband was able to go back in and check on our oldest and her friend, and they were able to reunite. But it was a scary moment, and there are scary moments happening everywhere, aren't there? Scary moments happening all over the world. Maybe where you are at your home, maybe you're like, that was one moment for you, but that's every day for me. It's every day for my family, every day for my mom and my dad. You know, as a tween, you're thinking every day that I go to school, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if I'm going to have to hit the floor or if I'm going to have to run, if I'm going to get a meal. Maybe for you as a worker, you don't know if you're going to have your job this week. You don't know if you're going to have enough money to pay for gas. So you're feeling that anxiety, you're feeling that anxiousness. And so I just wanted to give you a minute and give you some space to say, hey, those are real. Those are real things, feelings, and emotions that you're going through. But we don't want to stay there, do we? We don't want to live in that. And I wanted to just encourage us as parents. What can we do? How can we help our kids process maybe some of the anxiousness that they're feeling? Because I know as parents, when we go through those moments, we just want to hold our babies a little bit tighter, don't we? We want to squeeze them just a little bit harder and just pull them in just a little bit closer and stop living. At least I'll say that for me personally. Maybe you don't. Maybe you found yourself there. So these are things that I have found that have been helpful for us personally. So as we get ready for a new week, how can we help our kids get ready for this new week, to go back into a routine, to go back into their extracurricular activities where we drop them off or we're not in the room with them, or they go with a friend? How do we go back to work when all this happened? Well, first of all, what we can do is make sure that we give them space to talk about what they experienced, and just to listen. All we have to do is be the listener, not the fixer. So parents, for us, just be the listener, not the fixer. Let them share their thoughts. Let them share their big emotions. Let them share, how that was for them. And just be a part of that conversation for them, and don't feel like you have to say, oh, that wasn't a big deal, or or anything like that. You don't have to make it smaller for them. You can say, yeah, that was scary. That was hard, wasn't it? To help them see that it was valid. So you're validating those feelings instead of dismissing them. So you can do that. And then after that, after you allow them to do that, for us, for our faith, for those of us who have that faith in our life, which I'm so grateful for, to know Jesus and to know that he was with us and he was with our kids, we can help them begin to shift their perspective and say, you know what, how did we see God with us in this situation? Do you know of moments that maybe you realized that he moved and he worked and he showed you how he was there? For my kids, they realized that God put adults in their pathway right when they needed them. For example, my oldest one, there was a dad that was right below her in the seating where she had ran up to, that we knew, and he said that he realized that she was by herself, and he took care of her. He protected her, and she realized that God allowed their paths to cross. So we want to help them to shift and see how God is with us in the good times, in those celebrating moments, but in the scary times, in the valleys too. So we want to do those two things. And then we want to encourage our kids as they go to school this week that it's okay to go talk to a counselor. That is normal, and we need to normalize that. We need to normalize going and talking to them about things and processing things, because they may still be processing when they go to school tomorrow and Tuesday and Wednesday and so on. And that's for any situation that you may find your children in. And I know for our schools this week, they're going to have extra hands on deck, so that if there are those young elementary kids, those middle schoolers, those high schoolers that need to talk and to just process, there's extra people there to do that and help them to do that. So we want to normalize reaching out to a counselor and talking through those situations. And we want to help our kids to know, hey, you can talk and you can pray to God at any time. If you're in a bathroom stall, if you are in your room, if you're riding in the car on the way to school, that they don't have to have mom and dad there, that they can lean on their faith and they can talk to the Lord as well. So those are some things that we can do to help and encourage our kids. But I want to encourage us as parents. They're going to watch us. They're going to watch how we respond to panic, how we respond to situations, and they're going to learn from us. And so we want to encourage our kids to be wise, to be aware, but don't stop living. Don't allow fear to take away from your life and steal from you. That's what the enemy wants, to steal, kill, and destroy, right? But Jesus came so that we would have life and have it abundantly. So we want to teach our kids right now. We want to equip them and empower them in their faith and how to respond in these situations and to keep living. To keep living. Yes, what they may feel inside is very real, but it doesn't get to paralyze them. It doesn't get to control them and their actions. So we want to empower them to keep living, to go to school, to know that there are people there. There are safe people there. There are things in place there to help them and protect them and to help them have that plan if there needs to be a plan of action. But we want them to keep living. The enemy is trying so hard to steal from this young generation, from our teenagers, from our college students, from our kids, maybe from you as an adult. For the last 2 years, that's what he's tried to do: steal and take away life and take away our faith and take away how we live. And he wants us to isolate. He wants us to pull away. He wants us to stop using the gifts and the talents and stop walking in the purpose and calling that God has given us. And instead, we have to respond differently. Yes, it may be scary, but we take that step of faith. We do it afraid. Many of you have heard me say that quite a bit. We do it afraid. And we take another step. We take another step and we check in with those adults when we need to, and we make sure we have our friends with us, that community with us, right? Galatians 6:2 says, bear one another's burdens and then so fulfill the law of Christ. So we want them to have that community with them. We want them to have that freedom there. And so those are some things that we want to do and talk to them about. When you feel that anxiousness inside, what are some symptoms that you feel? There's a symptom. I did that survey with some tweens when I wrote the book. Many of them said they feel butterflies in their stomach. They have a stomach ache. They feel headaches. They feel their heart beating really fast. Their breathing is very shallow and fast. And they can't really get a good deep breath. They have headaches. Their vision is messed up. They twirl their hair. They fidget. They're moving their fingers all the time. Maybe they're shaking their leg all the time. I was trying to think of some other ones that they said. I've got it right here beside me. They're not able to get the words out. They have words in their head, but they're going so fast and everything is moving so fast. It's hard for them to get the words out. They may have uncontrollable outbursts of anger or sadness. So they may respond in rage, or they may respond in shouting or just crying out of the blue, out of nowhere. Sweaty palms, insomnia, dizziness, these difficulty concentrating at school, sports, or activities. So when they go to school tomorrow, there may be some of that difficulty, and our teachers are prepared. And us as parents, not only do we need to pray for our kids as they go to school tomorrow, pray for your teachers. Pray for our frontline workers, those teachers and those counselors, administrators, principals. They deal with this stuff every day. And again, there are teachers and principals that are watching all across the world, and you're dealing with traumas, you're dealing with difficult situations, hard situations that your students are walking in every day. So let's commit to prayer for them as they stand in the gap for our children. We want to pray for them, pray for those leaders. So we want them to be able to recognize what they're feeling when they feel that anxiousness. And then maybe equip them, give them some tools. If you feel your heart rate beating really, really fast, just stop, pause, and take a deep breath. For me as an adult, it may be tweens. I like to drink coffee, so I may, pretend like I'm breathing in a good cup of coffee. For them, it may be hot chocolate, or it may be a Mountain Dew, or it may be Coke. Different things like that. So we want them to pause and take those deep breaths 3 or 4 times. Inhale through their nose, exhale through their mouth, to get out of their feelings, out of that feeling part of their brain, and into the rational part of their brain. Talk to an adult. Talk to a trusted adult. Shift what they're thinking on. Get out of those what ifs and get into their present moment. Where are we right now? Back into reality. We kind of want to snap our fingers and get out of that so they can use their senses and think of what is 5 things that I see. What is 4 things that I can touch? What is 3 things that I hear? 2 things that I can smell? 1 thing that I can taste. So you go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. By the time you're back to 1, they've snapped back into reality. And then gratitude. Gratitude is a very powerful thing, so that our brains, scientifically proven, and God, He is amazing. He already knew this. He gave us this natural anxiety blocker. Our brains cannot be anxious and gracious in that gratitude state at the same time. So look for things. What am I thankful for today? What am I thankful for when I get up this morning? What am I thankful for while I'm at school? What am I thankful for when I go to bed at night? So to practice that attitude of gratitude, where they're shifting their focus and their perspective. And these are just things. This is a process. Again, this is a process. And again, giving them that freedom, that opportunity to talk through what they're thinking, maybe another thought comes back and they remember something. For us to remember to be patient, to be gracious with one another. For you as well, maybe you were around some loud sounds over this weekend, and you may hear loud sounds, and that may make you feel jumpy. And so you can go back and remember, I know what this is from. And you can help your kids know that as well. And just to talk back through that process. So the more we talk about it, the less it hides, the less it takes root in our souls. We don't want it to take root in them. We don't want that fear and that anxiety to take root in them and then to grow and affect their decisions and affect their life and affect what they're doing and how they're living, right? So the more we're talking about it, we're uprooting it. We're uprooting it and we're getting it out. So that's why if you hear me and you've seen some of my posts saying talk about it with parents, with trusted adults, with counselors, with school counselors, is so important, because that way it helps them know I don't have to hide. I don't have to hide, and I'm not the only one feeling this way, that experienced this, that went through this, and that this is a normal response. This is normal. We talked about, how they started crying afterwards, and I was like, that's normal. That's a normal response. And they kind of were like, oh yeah, it is normal. That was like a situation that was worthy of a cry, So those are worthy responses. So we want them to know that. If they have questions, let them ask. And if you don't know the answer, you can tell them, you know what, I don't know the answer, but we can find that answer together. And then lastly, we want to turn them to Scripture. We want to turn them to God's truth. I know for some they're like, oh, that's really, can that really work? Scripture, we can learn and we can apply it to our life. We can apply these practical, biblical coping skills. I talk a lot about that. I think God knew thousands and thousands of years ago when he created us and he created this world, we were going to need these skills, and they're rooted in Scripture. Just like someone taught me about deep breathing, how when you say Yahweh, it is an inhale and an exhale. When you call out that name of God, Yahweh. I love that, and I will never forget that, and I want to teach others that as well. So these are all biblical things, but Scripture is rooted in truth, and it is a weapon. So our kids, whether we want to think this or not, our kids are warriors. They're warriors in this battle, just like we're warriors in this battle. And as their leader, it's our job to equip these warriors that God has given us. And maybe you're watching and you are equipping these warriors as a teacher, as a counselor, as a minister, as a pastor. So we want to equip them. We want to equip our warriors that God has given us. So that's our job, to train them up. So we have to use the manual that we've been given. God's given us this manual to train them up. And as much as we want to keep them little babies and we want to just hide them away, I think for me, I realized I can't do that. I can't. I have to prepare them. I have to equip them and strengthen them to know that when these things come, this is how you stand firm. This is how you overcome. This is how we get through. Because we want them to learn that now as kids, and they can learn that and they can do that. And I know it's scary, and I know it's hard, and I know we've shed tears as parents, and that's normal and that's okay too, but we want to stand in the gap for them so the enemy doesn't get to take this generation. He doesn't get to say to them any longer, all these things are wrong with you on the outside, and all of this is wrong with you, and you need to do things this way, you need to do things that way. We say, no, that is not true. Here is the truth. And we're going to teach it to you, and we're going to equip you, and we're going to empower you. When you feel fear or you feel anxiety or you feel these things come at you, this is how you can respond. So here's some scriptures for you, and you can look these up. You can Google them. If you don't have a Bible, there is a Bible app you can download. It's free. It's got all different versions on it. This is 1 Peter 5:7. This is the NIV version. It says, cast all your anxiety on him because he cares for you. Well, this him it's talking about here is Jesus. And we can cast all our anxiety on him. It says, cast all your anxiety on him because he cares for you. So how do we cast? Well, you think about fishermen, or if you go fishing, or any of y'all go fishing, when you cast, it's a over and over thing, right? You typically do not catch fish on the first cast when you cast your line out. It's an over and over and over process. So when we are casting our anxiety on him, it may be where you're doing this over and over again. Every minute you may find yourself saying, okay, God, I'm going to give you this anxiety about this situation. This anxious thought has come up, so I'm laying this at your feet. It's an over and over process. So one way that helps me to cast is to write it down. And writing and journaling is not just a girly girl thing. This is for everyone. Where would we be without the men that God used to write the Bible? Okay, so guys, this is for you. This is for men, women, girls, boys. Writing it down. Cast it down. You can use a notepad. This is a really big notepad of all these things I've had to do this past week, but you can use like a notepad and write it down as fast as you can. And then you can take it and you can rip it up and throw the pieces in the air. And then, kids, you want to clean up after that and throw it away so your mom doesn't have to do that for you, or your dad. So that's one way you can cast, is write it down like that. You could put it in a journal. I used to have a journal. It was just a regular notebook I got from Walmart. Anytime I would have these anxious feelings or these scary feelings come in, I would just write, and I would go find that notebook and I would write in it as fast as I could. I didn't worry about spelling, didn't worry about punctuation. I just wrote, and then I put that notebook away. Once I had to get it all out. I just had to get it out, and so then I would go put that notebook away, and no one saw it. But I had to get all those thoughts out. So that was for me as an adult. For as kids, I would encourage you, if you're writing things down on a journal page, if you want to share it with someone, you can do that. You can share it with your adult. For us as adults, as moms and dads, we're learning to not panic, to not overreact, to let you come freely to us. So you can write in that notebook, write it down as fast as you want, throw it away, take that page out, rip it up and throw it away. And then after you cast all that out, you want to replace. We want to replace, because we don't want to have that empty space, because what can happen is that anxiety can come back. It can bring friends. And so we want to replace those anxious thoughts, So sometimes you can look up scripture on fear. You can look up scripture on when you go to sleep at night. I'm about to give you one that this is a great one for adults, for kids, for anybody. And so you want to write those scriptures down. You can look up, what does God's word say about me? What's the truth? Am I messed up? Is things wrong with me? And you can look up God's word. You can look up Psalms 139 that says you are fearfully and wonderfully made. You can write that down and you can remember that. So when those anxious thoughts come at you, you can remember the truth. So here's another one. This is Psalms 91:11. This is one of my all-time favorite verses for fear. This is the ESV, English Standard Version. For he will command his angels concerning you to guard you in all your ways. When I would go to bed at night, that would be one that I would lean on, would be Psalms 91:11. So calling that out when you feel afraid at night. Maybe as parents, you're feeling afraid as you're getting ready to let your kids go to school tomorrow, and they're out of your reach. They're out of your control. You're not in control. We're not in control. And maybe that's another thing we're all beginning to realize. We are not in control. So we're trusting. We're learning to lean in and trust in God in this season of life that we're in. So go to bed tonight. We read this last night. We read the whole book of Psalms 91, whole book of Psalms 91. It was only 12 or 13 verses. It wasn't very long. So that's a great one, Psalms 91:11. You can read it. And here's the last one that I wanted to share. I shared Galatians 6:2 about community. This one's on sleep. This is on sleep. So if you need this one, write it down. Proverbs 3:24. Proverbs 3:24. This is the NIV version. And it says, when you lie down, you will not be afraid. When you lie down, your sleep will be sweet. I love that. Don't you want sweet sleep tonight? It's hard to say, by the way. Sweet sleep. We need that as we go into this Monday, as we go into a new week. And in this devotional, in the twin devotional, I put sweet sleep sounds nice, but how do I get there? How do you get there? So a few things that are in here just as suggestions. Instead of watching scary things on TV, find shows filled with joy and lighthearted fun. Laughter is medicine for our souls. Spend some time in worship and prayer. Listen to worship music, allowing God's powerful love to melt the anxieties in your heart. It goes back to writing down your anxious thoughts and getting those out. Releasing them to God in prayer. We have sometimes melatonin is something that we have personally used. Epsom salt baths are great for your kids a couple of times a week, even for us as adults to help you. We even use the Epsom salt that has lavender in it to do that. There's all kind of ways that you can do that. We use weighted blankets sometimes that help us sleep. Night lights if we need those. The worship music has been most helpful for us recently. Putting up scripture on our walls, so that's what we see when we go to bed. Reading a fun book. Reading is great as well. Drawing. Drawing is another thing that has been helpful when we can't sleep. We draw. These things, I know I've talked a lot about using your hands, drawing and writing. And when you do that, you're building this gray matter in your brain, which is really good for your brain. And so you're activating those places in your brain that need that activity. And you're teaching your brain how to respond instead of react to the anxiousness that you might feel. So that last scripture was Proverbs 3, verse 24. When you lie down, you will not be afraid. When you lie down, your sleep will be sweet. And I can remember as a kid, my mom would tell me to write scripture on little pieces of paper, or my prayer requests or my worries, and I would stick it under my pillow and just kind of like I was letting it go, like as a prayer, that visual aid that I needed as a kid. So you can even write that verse down and put it under your pillow and just pray, God, I really need sweet sleep tonight. And just be honest and talk to him and just say, here, this is where I'm at. And so, again, like I said, I didn't want to keep this too long, and so I hope some of these things were helpful. If you have friends that you know that this will be helpful for, please share with them and just pass it along. But again, I know we're living in anxious times. We are. And so we just need to relearn some things. We may have been doing some things a certain way and it's not helping. How does that quote go? The insanity is defined as doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. So if we want something different, if we want something to change in our life, we have to begin to do things differently. And it is a process, and it does take time. So give yourself that time, give your kids that time. Tweens, take that time to learn these habits right now, to empower yourself to respond when that anxiousness comes your way, when those anxiety elephants come your way. Okay, and do that. And look for those resources, parents. I'm going to do my best to help share some more resources with you to guide your kids and even for yourself. I do have resources if you are interested. I have this devotional that you can grab off of Amazon, Anxiety Elephants for Adults. It's a 31-day devotional. You can find it on Amazon, Anxiety Elephants. And then again, this one for tweens is just now out. Anxiety Elephants for Tween Girls, and also for our boys. Boys, we did not forget you. Anxiety Elephants for Tween Boys. A tween is considered 8 to 12, but I loved a conversation that I had with a 17-year-old girl this weekend at a book signing, and she said, I'm 17, and I know it says a tween, but I really deal with anxiousness sometimes. Can I still buy this book? Absolutely. You can totally buy this book. It's very simple, very simple action steps, if you will, so you know what to do and little things to do. And over 90 days, you're practicing these little things, building these new habits, so you can live your life differently. And we're equipping and we're empowering this young generation, this Gen Z, to live freely and to walk boldly in all that God has called for them. And they don't have to wait till they're an adult to do that. They can do that right now. So we are so excited about that. So excited about just sharing this tool with our kids. And I'll share more information later. But I just wanted to give you guys those quick little encouragement tips that have been helpful for us. Maybe one or two of those will be helpful for you. Scripture that will be helpful for you as well. And just know that I am praying for you. This is, again, how many times have I said the word process? It is a process. It's a process, and it takes time. So give yourself that time. Give yourself that grace. The same for your kids. Normalize talking to a counselor. Normalize if they need to do that tomorrow, to know that that's okay. And that is good, to let others in. And we're doing life together. So we want to do life together, and we want to teach our kids to do life together right now. So I hope all this was helpful. Share if you have friends who are dealing with some anxiousness right before bedtime. Maybe you are dealing with those anxious moments. Try some of these things multiple times, and you'll figure out which one works best, what suits your family best. If you do find yourself where the anxiety or maybe depression has affected your daily life, your daily habits for 6 months or longer, you may need more help. You may need some medical attention. I found myself there 10 years ago, and it saved my life. So if you are there, know that that is the right thing to do. Listen to your body and go seek help. Go reach out to a medical professional that can get to the bottom of what's really going on there and happening in your body. So pray for our kids. Pray for your teachers and your administrators. Do it afraid, parents. We can do this. Through Christ, through His strength, we can do this. One step at a time, one breath at a time, one moment at a time. We can get through this, and our kids can too. They can. They can get through this one step at a time. Learning these habits right now. You're equipping them. You're empowering them right now to know how to stand against their enemy, to know how to respond in a positive coping way when anxiousness comes. Okay, so these are all good things. Getting them books, getting them tools. These are all helpful things for our kids to do that. And some of you have asked me, where can I find Anxiety Elephants for Tweens? If you're not local, hop on Amazon right now. You can go grab that. ChristianBooks.com, they had it on sale. You can go there. Barnes & Noble, Walmart, Books A Million. There's Anxiety Elephants for Tween Boys, Anxiety Elephants for Tween Girls. If you're an adult struggling with anxiety, there is an adult version, Anxiety Elephants. You can also go to my website, Caris, CarisSnider.com. So that's CarisSnider.com. And it's got all the links there where you can grab these tools, these resources, and walk through this together. Walk through this journey together. We don't have to have it all together. We don't have to know all the answers, because we don't. But we know the one who does. And we can teach our kids to lean and look to Him. So I am praying for y'all. Lots going on this week, so I will continue to share, but I just wanted to hop in and encourage you as you are getting ready to face this new week to know that through Him we can do this. We're not in our own strength, we're in His strength. and He's going to help us every step of the way, and our kids as well. So remember those verses: Psalms 91:11, Proverbs 3:24, and 1 Peter 5:7. Okay, Psalms 91:11, Proverbs 3:24, 1 Peter 5:7. And the one on sleep specifically, if you need that for yourself or for your kids, is Proverbs 3:24. So those are really great scriptures to use to put them on your walls, put them under your pillows, put them on your bathroom mirror in your car, and just feed yourself, feed your soul. That word is active and it's living, and so we want to do that. Okay, so I'm gonna get off. We have to get ready for bed. I'm past time. So thank you all for joining in. Feel free to share this. I'm going to hop off on Instagram first, so you guys get to watch me do this. No, I'm going to hop off on Facebook first. So love y'all. Praying for you. Reach out if you need anything. I'll talk to you soon.